What's up, everybody? Hey, thank you so much for watching. Really appreciate that. Lions fans are coming out and continuing to watch videos after, let's be honest, a tough loss. And just remember, we're still 5-2. Just remember, we are still in first place in the division. Just remember, we are in firm control of the division. So that none of that has changed. We are still at the top. And maybe it was a little bit of a reality check for us. We ran into a buzzsaw that was the Baltimore Ravens. They did well. But in this video, I don't want to talk about all the crap that went bad. All right. I don't want to do that. I don't want to live there. I want to live in the fact that we're 5-2, and I want to look at the bright side of things. So there was one shining star in this game that came out and showed, yeah, I have a purpose on this team. And going forward, I can be a guy that will be a difference maker for you because of my speed, because of my athleticism, because quite frankly, I can do things that nobody else on this roster can do. And that man is Jahmyr Gibbs. All right. So I want to ask you this question. I think that Gibbs was the best player on the field. I really do believe he was the best player on the field in this game. And I want anybody else to go ahead and say who you think is the best player. Who is the best player in this game that gives you the most hope going forward? You could go St. Brown with his 13 receptions. You could say, hey, Jared Goff still threw for 284 yards. Like, you could say that if you wanted to. You could say the offensive line graded out pretty well. But if my money is anywhere, it's going to be with Jahmyr Gibbs. Now, I'm going to warn you, the graphic I'm about to show you is not for the faint of heart. So please watch with caution, because we have a score up here on the top, 38-6. And we know that. But let's look at what Jahmyr Gibbs can be. So when he is the lead back, we've seen what Swift can do out in Philly. All right, we've seen him be pretty effective. It's starting to slow down now, but we've seen him be pretty effective. But what about Gibbs? What about Jahmyr Gibbs? Like, when are we going to start seeing some big games from him? Well, he had the ability to touch the rock 20 times. He had the ability to touch the rock 20 times. So first, I'm going to talk about his running attack. All right, 11 carries for 68 yards. It's just over 5 yards per carry. There was a couple big runs in there. There were a couple of not big runs in there. A long of 21. That was a touchdown. His speed, his burst through the hole, his vision, all looked very good. The other thing that looked good for Jahmyr Gibbs was just his contact balance is very good. Like, he runs through arm tackles. For a guy who's not that big, to be able to run through arm tackles like that, I think is honestly pretty remarkable. I think it's pretty remarkable to be able to do that. In this game against Baltimore, he had a running PFF grade of 66.4. That is his highest grade as far as running the football goes since week 1, where he was going against that Kansas City defense. And that was true. He graded out at a 78 on that one. He was breaking tackles left and right. We were super excited about him and what he was going to be able to do. But this one, he gets a little bit more of the workload, and he does well. But it's not just the running game. I want to go down to the receiving, okay? And you look here, and you're going to see all of our receiving numbers. Number 1 is St. Brown. 13 catches, 102 yards. He's doing his things. That's on 19 targets. All right? What this tells me is that other wide receivers need to step up. Jameson Williams, 6 targets, no catches. Oh, my goodness. All right, there was one where it's like, was that on Jamo? Was that on Goff? The deep ball? I still think it was on Goff. But like that deep ball where it's like, what happened? But not Gibbs. He was not more effective throwing the ball to anybody than Jahmyr Gibbs. And I understand there were short passes, and I understand the Ravens defense was all over the place. But he took 9 catches for 58 yards with a long of 21 on 10 targets. He was that safety blanket that you need to be as a running back. I thought he did pretty good in pass protection. I thought there were a lot of things that he honestly did well. I thought he honestly did a lot of things well. His offensive grade in general was pretty good. Like, I just think, like, when you look at this guy, it's like, okay, that's not bad. That's not bad at all. All right. And so I talked about the pass blocking. And while I was just kind of mumbling there for a second, I was looking up what his actual pass blocking grade was for Jahmyr Gibbs in this game. And it was a 68. That's fantastic for a running back. And that's what everybody always talks about. That's what everybody always talks about is, ooh, how good are they when it comes to pass blocking and pass pro? He was phenomenal. And that's coming off a week 2 and week 4 grade that were absolutely atrocious. All right. Absolutely atrocious. All right. He had a receiving grade in this one of 69, a drop grade of 78. Like across the board, he did everything well. He did everything well. And the only players I believe that were ahead of him, the only players that graded out higher than Gibbs were 3 offensive linemen. I just think that's awesome. Like, that's absolutely fantastic. I believe it was Decker, Glasgow, and maybe Ragnow. All right. We know it wasn't Sewell with all the holding penalties. So that's the only players that graded out ahead of him on the offensive side of the ball. And running back has always been difficult to grade out in that form or in that fashion. So yeah, he's doing just fine. And his speed brings it even to the next level. So if he can do those little things well, if he can pass block, if he can be one of those guys where when he's in the backfield, you don't know that he's going to be running a route because he stays in and he's in pass pro a lot. It's fantastic. If he's one of those guys that can run to the outside, but also can run to the inside, that's fantastic. He's so much more multi-dimensional than Montgomery can be. And that doesn't mean Montgomery's not great. Like, I love Montgomery, and this team misses Montgomery because you can't hand the ball to Gibbs 25 times in a game. You just can't do it. So you need to have another back that will be there. And maybe they would have given him 15 carries and they would have given Reynolds 7 or 8. So they would have been able to run the ball often. But the game script in this one, we were down so fast, so far, so early that running was really just an afterthought at that point. And there wasn't a lot of running that you could do. Every once in a while you saw us, we would start our drives with a couple of good runs. We'd get onto the other, into Baltimore territory, and then the drive would stall because we'd be one-dimensional again. Those are the things that we struggled with. So it was a rough day. St. Brown had drops. Goff looked like he forgot how to throw a football in the first half. I love Jared Goff. Even great quarterbacks have an off day. And that's what it was, an off day. But on this off day for the Detroit Lions, Jahmyr Gibbs was very good. All right, let me know if you like the video by commenting, by subscribing, or sending us a like. Thanks so much. See you on the next one.